everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We got Octavia Wyatt here, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. Season 7, Episode 48 of the Focus TV. We're going to get started like we always do with the NFC East, where, things happen this week, I guess is the nicest way to say it. Octavia, the floor is yours.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened, not just in the NFC East, but in the NFL as a whole. I'm sure we'll get to some of that later. Um, it was a hell of a week. It was kind of the opposite of what happened last week, which if you're a fan of the same team I am, you're happy. If you're not, it's a little weird. I think the home team doesn't feel as bad. I will definitely say that I feel like it's been a lot of support for the home team. You know, they went up and played Baltimore this week, and I've never seen so many people drive to Baltimore to watch a Washington Commanders game in like years. So shout out to the fans around here that are, trying to support their team. And they played against, like I said, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Washington Commanders. They lost. Commanders had 23 and the Ravens had 30. Jaden Daniels was 24 of 35, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, was sacked 3 times, and had 6 carries for 22 yards. Austin Eckler had 9 carries for 21 yards and 4 receptions for 47 yards. Zach Ertz had 4 receptions for 68 yards. And Terry McLaurin had 6 receptions, 53 yards for 2 touchdowns and 1 carry for no positive gain. The Commanders have been playing well, as we know. They were 4-1 going into this game, as well as being on top of the NFC East. But, there were a lot of people already declaring Jaden Daniels as the MVP of the season and all of these other things where, you got to let them get through the season and play some tougher opponents, which this definitely was. And I still think he had a good game, and I still think as a whole, their team played really well against a Baltimore Ravens team that's been playing out of their mind, of course. Baltimore averaged 7.6 yards per play. Washington entered allowing 5.7 yards per play. So their defense really couldn't handle Lamar, which, let's be honest, not a lot of defenses can at this point, as well as Derrick Henry. And it seems like finally they're starting to get the likes of Mark Andrews a little bit more involved, Isaiah Likely a little bit more involved. But I think probably Zay Flowers had one of his best games of the year so far, and a little bit of a mix of Rashad Bateman in there as well. So they have a lot of players on their offensive side, and they showed up. The defense for the Commanders this week wasn't all that great, and it took an even bigger blow. Jonathan Allen left Sunday's game in the third quarter with a pec injury. It's quickly ruled out. They were hoping that it wasn't anything too crazy, but yesterday it was revealed that he had a torn pectoral and he'll be out for the year. And he's going to look for a second opinion, but I mean, if it's a torn pec, it's not much you can really do with it. So sucks for them as far as, like I said, on their defensive side. They've been making some strides as the year has gone on, but that's a big loss for them on that side. And then, I mean, their secondary probably had one of their worst games as well. Like I said, Zay Flowers kind of torched the secondary back there. And even some of the secondaries not even playing. Like a lot of the guys, well, I won't say a lot, but 2 main guys that were Ron Rivera's guys that he had a hand in drafting are not really seeing a lot of play. Probably the biggest one, of course, is Emmanuel Forbes, who was a first-round pick a year or 2 ago. He can't even get on the field. It's not looking good for him so far. And especially when you go into a new regime and not being a part of the team, not being a part of the leadership who they didn't draft you. So it's definitely tough for him, but it was just bad. Zay Flowers had over 100 yards in the first half. St. Juice, who was out there against them, was called for 2 penalties, one which was kind of questionable, but we see what these refs have been calling pretty much all year. It's kind of sad that they're probably not really going to get too much help. As you can kind of see today, there are some trades going around, so you kind of want to keep your ear open to see if they're going to be in the mix for some things, because a lot of people are saying that this is probably one of their best chances that they've had in a long time to make some noise in the playoffs, to try to do some things. So we'll see how deep in they're going to go out for it. like I said, they lost, but Jaden Daniels, he definitely faced some adversity, but he still had a really good game. He completed 24 35 passes for the 669 and 2 touchdowns. Um, he hung in there for a lot of big hits as well. And he still completed those passes. So it shows that fortitude that he has there as well. So I think, of course, he's still on a good trajectory. Playing against the Ravens is tough. And then especially when they didn't really have much of a running game, he led them in rushing in this game. Washington only ran for 52 yards on 18 carries. Brian Robinson Jr. did not play. Austin Eckler really didn't get involved as much. And like I said, Jaden Daniels was the leading rusher for them. So hopefully they're able to get Brian Robinson back, which will help open it up for everybody else. But I mean, they have a pretty winnable game next week, so I'm sure they'll be looking forward to a bounce back. They'll be playing against the Panthers next Sunday. So I'm sure they're looking to get a get right game after the loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Next, we'll have the New York Giants played on Monday night, and I don't know whoever decided to do that against the Cincinnati Bengals. They lost to the Bengals 17-7. Daniel Jones, who looks so sad in this picture, that's exactly how most of his fan base probably feels, was 22 of 41, 205 yards, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. He had 11 carries for 56 yards. Tyron Tracy Jr. had 17 carries for 50 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 receptions for 57 yards. And Darius Slayton had 6 receptions for 57 yards. Yeah, I mean, another week without his top 2 weapons, and Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary. I really like Malik Neighbors. I just need him to mature a little bit quicker. You can't be in concussion protocol and at a concert, bro. Like I don't understand how that works. And at a Travis Scott concert at that, in concussion protocol, come on, guys. So I'm gonna need him to mature a little bit sooner. Because who knows? I mean, granted, we don't know his medical, results or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure that was possibly a reason why he didn't play in this game either, because he's still in concussion protocol. That's 2 weeks he's been in concussion protocol. He missed last week as well. So, and they need him, obviously. But yeah, it's just not enough. They don't have enough, and granted, we talked about the Cincinnati Bengals, they were 1-4 coming into this game, but they could have easily been 4-1. And granted, this game was kind of sloppy, to be fair. It wasn't a very pleasing game to watch. Especially, also I forgot that Kayvon Thibodeau is now IR. After last week, Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns had a good outing, but Brian Burns, I think, stepped up a little bit more in this game without Kayvon Thibodeau in this game. Their secondary has been doing everything that they possibly can, with the likes of T. Higgins and Jamar Chase that they had to cover. They didn't surrender a 100-yard plus receiving game to any wide receiver so far this year, and that includes Jamar Chase as well as T. Higgins. I think they both had about 70, 75 yards each. So they're doing everything that they can. I mean, but kind of the Giants could have possibly won this game. They just kind of had missteps at the wrong moment. As much as I've been talking about kickers as well, it's like it just seems like kickers were making everything. They're coming back down to earth this week. Kicker Greg Joseph, he missed 2 field goals. And then as great as the defense has been playing, they allowed Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, who had never had a run of more than 23 yards in his career, to a 47-yard untouched open touchdown, which frankly was kind of really what started the game for them, and they really didn't look back too much since then. It's just a lot of inopportune situations that keep happening for them. Daniel Jones is just not doing enough. I think he's trying to revert back to the old Daniel Jones where, he's trying to just go balls to the walls and just, he had 11 carries again this week like he did last week, and he's trying to do everything he can. It's just not enough. They just don't have enough. And then I think also their offensive lineman, Andrew Thomas, is also going on IR, or he might be done for the year as well. So that's another shifting in the offensive line, who, to be honest, hasn't been totally terrible this year. They've been a little bit better, but, switching that up, and that's always when things start to go awry. So it's going to be a tough battle for them. They're at the bottom of the NFC East currently. Excuse me. And next week they're gonna have the Saquon Bowl. They're gonna be playing at home at MetLife against the Philadelphia Eagles, and I just hope they just give the ball to Saquon the entire game. Like I don't know, but we'll see. And I'm sure they definitely want to have a good showing in that game just because of the hoopla and the things around the leaving of Saquon last season. So it'll be interesting. Next, we will go to the Dallas Cowboys versus the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions defeated the Cowboys 47-9. Dak Prescott was 17 of 33, 178 yards, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks, and 1 carry for 1 yard. Rico Dowdle had 5 carries for 25 yards and 5 receptions for 30 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 7 receptions for 89 yards and 1 carry for 2 yards. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happening. I do think possibly, of course they have a lot of injuries. Michael Parsons didn't play. DeMarcus Lawrence didn't play. Or Kendrick didn't play. Deron Bland didn't play on their defensive side. Understandable. I think the only starter out there was Trayvon Diggs, or maybe Demario Overshawn as well, who, he was trying to do everything he could possibly do from the safety position. He was down there making tackles that you thought the linebacker should be making. But it was just bad. And it's like, I feel like when you have those games, it's kind of like, was it just a bad game? You just flush it and you just move on? Or is it more about Detroit and everything that Detroit is doing as well? I think it's a mix of both, to be fair. Dak didn't play that great. Their offensive line didn't play that great. I think they benched Tyler Guyton before the game even started, so he didn't even start. I don't even know if he played. Dak was pressured on 9 of his first 15 dropbacks. He was basically running for his life for majority of the game, and that never really turns out great because I feel like he tries to prove a point when he's scrambling, and sometimes he's trying to always make a big play, and that's the interception in the red zone again is just something that can't happen, and it continuously happens for them. I feel bad. It was Jerry Jones' birthday. It was like, I think they said that was the worst loss in franchise history at home ever. Like, it was so bad that I saw a picture that they literally blurred out the score on the scoreboard. Like, they didn't even want the fans to see what the score was on the scoreboard in AT&T Stadium. They blurred it out. It's literally a picture is blurred out and you can't see the score. That's how bad it was. And I was just like, wow. And it's like Detroit had a point to prove. They were still mad about last year, obviously. I didn't know they were this mad. They were very upset. Jesus Christ, they was throwing the ball to Penei Sewell. They was doing any and everything they wanted to. They was doing double flea flickers. It was just like they had an attitude from the beginning, and they came out there to prove a point. They did. They said this is the worst home loss for the Cowboys since 1988. The Cowboys, who are now 3-3, became the first team since at least 2000 to trail by 14 or more points at halftime in 4 consecutive games on their home field, playoffs included. There are plenty of other stats that I've been hearing that I'm just not going to go into because it's bad, that they've been having since the end of last season and loss against the Packers. But they got to get it together. Granted, like I said, the injuries on defense is one thing. I think we've all said it from the beginning of the season. They don't have enough explosive personnel on the offensive side outside of CeeDee Lamb. But let Jerry tell it, he's good. They're not going to do anything before the trade deadline. He's happy with what they got. They just need to play better. I don't know what that translates into. I thought we were saving Zeke Elliott, but obviously we ain't saving that much because he played. I think he might have had more carries than Donald in this game. It's just a lot going on, and it's happy for them that they're going into a bye this week so they can regroup. And again, they have a lot of injuries as well. So they'll be on a bye this week, and then they'll come back and play against the 49ers the week of October 27th, who they're also going through a little bit of things as well. They have injuries as well. So we'll see how that game goes, but it's getting a little rough for the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 3-3. But it's not too bad in the NFC East just because everybody's pretty much 3 and something, 2, 4 and something. So we'll see how it works out. Last but not least, we have the Philadelphia Eagles who played against the Cleveland Browns. And that the only reason I'm here is because they did not lose to the Cleveland Browns. They defeated the Browns 20-16. Jalen Hurts was 16-25, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked once, and 14 carries for 33 yards. Saquon Barkley had 18 carries for 47 yards and 2 receptions for 7 yards. A.J. Brown had 6 receptions, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Devontae Smith, 3 receptions, 64 yards, and 1 touchdown. Thank God they came back because I don't know what we would have done without those two, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, while being excited that we got those two plus Lane Johnson back. Then they go ahead and lose Dallas Goedert to a hamstring in this game, as well as Jordan Mailata with a hamstring. So, and I think both of them are going to miss a couple of weeks. So that's also just not great. I will say shout out to Brandon Graham. He played in his 200 game as an Eagle. He had 5 tackles and 1 for a loss in this game. 200 games with one team is just wild. And granted, this will be his last season. But I mean, a win is a win, and that's really all I cared about in the end of this. Granted, it was against the Browns, and I thought it should have been a little bit more dominant, to be fair, especially coming off of a bye week. But it obviously wasn't. I think it was a good game for Jalen Hurts. He kept it clean, didn't have any turnovers. I think he threw a lot of good passes to both Devontae Smith as well as A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's hands are just ridiculous. You can't – he tracks the ball so well. He's always a big time, catching that point. It was also the first time that Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell both started, the rookies that we drafted in the first round. They had a pretty good game. I mean, DeJean hadn't started yet. He finally started over Avonte Maddox, who is Avonte Maddox. DeJean had 6 total tackles and a half a quarterback sack and a quarterback hit. He averaged 12 points. He also is doing punt returning because Britton Covey is out with a shoulder injury. So he averaged 12.8 yards per punt on 5 attempts. So he had a pretty solid day. The defense wasn't horrible. They held Watson to just 168 yards passing and 5.1 yards per pass. They did sack him 5 times, which we've only had 6 sacks as a unit throughout the first 4 games. So that is a win in itself, finally getting some pressure on the quarterback, what they really haven't been doing throughout the first couple of games. Although, and I feel like they're going to keep saying it until it happens, the Eagles did not score a point in the first quarter. They are still the only team in the NFL who has not scored a point in the first quarter. The slow starts are definitely tough on them. They're not really getting into a rhythm as the game goes on. So it's getting slower and slower, but, hopefully they're able to work something together. I don't know what they're out there doing half the time, but a win is a win. I don't know if we're gonna talk about it, but I'm just gonna say it now. The whole Sirianni thing, I'm so tired of hearing about it. He yelled at the fans yelled at him. Whoop-de-doo. Like, I don't know how much more of a soliloquy we can have on this. I don't know why we're acting like he's never done this before. This is the type of coach he's been since he's been there. It's always been some weird chip on his shoulder, whatever thing it's been like. It's been like that since his opening press conference when he first got the job. So I'm just hoping it's over with because it's getting blown out of proportion at this point. But it is what it is. The Philadelphia Eagles will play against the Giants at MetLife Stadium 1:00 next week on Sunday. Hopefully they win. If they lose to the Giants, I probably won't be here again. I don't know.
You keep messing around with your team's fate like this. One of these times they're going to grant your wish. We're going to go ahead and move on to the WNBA Finals. Look, man, it's tied at 1-1. Exciting ending to game 1. We saw Liberty kind of give up a crazy rally to Minnesota. We saw Courtney Williams with the 4-point play. A lot of theatrics late in that one. That said, Minnesota with the big game 1 win. Then we saw game 2. Saw the Liberty kind of steady the ship a little bit. Um, they're heading into game 3 that's played Wednesday night. They won game 2, that's New York, 80-66. Held Minnesota just 30% from deep while shooting 45.8 from range. We saw Benijah Laney Hamilton, who stepped up, had 20 big points in that one. I just wanted to make sure she was mentioned because for whatever reason, people somehow just keep leaving her out of her name out when mentioning the New York Liberty. And time after time, when they're going through it, hey, look, another big game for Benijah Laney Hamilton when the Liberty needed it most. That said, I'm going to start with you, Cardell, and then just Ray. Just your thoughts on this series as we head into a very pivotal game 3 of what's been an exciting WNBA Finals thus far.
Yeah, it's the little things. I think the size is wearing the links down where it did in game 2. It kind of worked more for the most part in game 1. So they kind of went in prevent defense mode in a sense, and Collier went crazy and Courtney Williams went crazy. But I think the size is taking its toll on the Lynx, especially late in the games. And this time the Liberty kept their foot on their necks. That was the difference. And what I mean by that is if you look at game 2, the difference in free throws, even though both teams are very sound defensively, they defend well without fouling. The Liberty shot 11 of 14, and the Lynx was 6 of 7. Yeah, then you compound that with the Liberty shooting 45% from 3, 11 of 24, while the Lynx shot 6 of 20. The field goals between the two is pretty much even. The Lynx shot 45%, the Liberty shot 47%, and the difference is they lost the game obviously by 14. It's the size, you know what I mean? And it's not even just the size inside with them kind of getting extra free throws. It's the size of getting their shots off. Courtney Williams is small. And that's what we were saying, coming into the playoffs, at least me, it's a reason why if the Liberty just stayed locked in, they got a good shot at winning this entire thing with how they playing and stuff like that because they're on a mission. And then when you add in Phoebich, who people really don't understand what she is. Like, she's a guard, but she's just 6'4". So it looks different. You know what I mean? So you pair her with John Quayle, when you pair her with Stewie, Sabrina's 6 foot, then it's tough, and she can knock down a three. She can pretty much guard all 5 positions. It's tough. It's tough to deal with, man. You know what I mean? And then Laney Hamilton, you add her, and then she's 6 feet. That's just a tough lineup you got to deal with for most of the game. You see what I'm saying? And that's with their bench not really even giving them anything. They beat you by 14, and really they should have won game 1 anyway. Also, you know what I mean? So the size thing, Fees is a monster. We know what she is, but she's still only 6 feet, and you expend more energy when you got to shoot over John Quayle and Stewie rotating over when you drive past and they digging down. And then you kicking it back out to McBride or Williams or something like that. And the next thing you know, Phoebich on them. So they can't even get what would normally be a clean shot, maybe against the Connecticut Sun or something like that, and they ain't there. So you pump faking and everything, you throwing the offense out. It's the little things like that that's really winning the series. Also, the Liberty, as big as they are, run. They killed them in fast break points. Well, they ain't kill them, but they had that edge. 19-13. I was shocked by that. You would think the Lynx being smaller would kind of outrun them. That would kind of be something that they would try to emphasize to try to neutralize the size advantage for the Liberty, and that's not the case. The Liberty got them. You know what I mean? So I get it, home court advantage into the sense, man, you might get a couple more fouls, but dog, they only went to the line 14 times. You know what I mean? With the all-world players that they have, that's not that much. So you can't even rely on that. I just think flat out the Liberty played better, man. And if they continue to stay locked in and do what they need to do, because I don't believe the Minnesota, the fans they just beat the defending champs on the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not tripping off going to Minnesota compared to Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta keep it 100, man. Like, the home court advantage is not the same, or whatnot. But they just gotta stay locked in and don't beat themselves. That's kind of been the whispers with the Liberty going back to last season when they imploded and the Aces got them up out of there. When they get on top, they seem to always give the other team life, and we're going to see in Game 3 if that remains the case or if they learned their lesson.
Right.
Yeah, this thing could easily be 2-0 heading back to Minnesota. That ending of Game 1 was crazy. I know Stewie and the Liberty was kicking themselves for giving that one up, but they're just flat out the better team. Like Cardell said, they're wearing them down. It's like a power running game in football. It's pounding, it's brutal, it wears you out, and we see that going down the stretch of games. But credit to Minnesota, they're fighting. Like they rallied at the end of Game 2 as well. But and speaking of Phoebich, that shot she took on a fast break where she just pulled up from 3, that was cold, man. Like to take that shot in that situation, like they
get a lot of shots in the game to be in rhythm to take that.
Yeah, man. Look, that's confidence on 1,000, and she's a rookie, so they want this, man. We've been saying it all season that they've been on a mission. They've been playing like it, but yeah, that size for New York is hard to deal with, and they're keeping it simple, man. They're punishing them on the offensive glass, and Cardell did bring up an interesting point about them getting out and running more than Minnesota, which is trouble for Minnesota because of the size difference. New York is getting the rebounds. So, I mean, it's not much they can do, man. Minnesota's just going to have an out-of-body experience to pull this one out. They stole Game 1, which is cool. They're going to have to win two. They're going to have to win 2 more times, and that's a big ask. This Liberty team is very well put together. They play well together. The improvements that Sabrina's made, which we've discussed often, they're just hell to deal with. And Benaja Laney Hamilton coming through with the big game in Game 2. Like so many things have to go wrong for them for their overwhelming talent to be neutralized, and like things are going to have to go wrong for them, and Minnesota's going to have to play out of their minds at the same time. And the likelihood of that happening 2 more times, it just if I was a betting man, I'd be betting on the Liberty. I'll just keep it at that. And no disrespect to Minnesota, they're obviously a really good team. They're in the finals as well. But yeah, man, they're going to have to get it done for me to believe that they can win this series. So yeah, man. Fee, she's doing all she can. She's been out of her mind these whole playoffs. But yeah, man, Liberty have the advantage, and they're taking it to them.
Octavia, who do you like in Game 3?
Yeah, I mean, I think they both pretty much summed it up. It's the Lynx were, let's face it, lucky to get the win in Game 1. It was definitely a crazy ending. But it definitely shows how much harder they have to play to the end of the whistle. They were down by 18 in that game. But it had to be something crazy for them to come back and win the game. Also, like Cardell said, I think the size of the Liberty is just becoming entirely too much for the Lynx. They can't really do nothing, and it's kind of even as far as you're playing your starters pretty much for majority of the game for both teams, and it's just like mano-a-mano, like they really can't do anything with the likes of Jonquel, Stewie. Like we talked about how much better Sabrina has gotten. And as you mentioned, of course, Benaja Laney Hamilton. I just think they're too good of a team for them. Like I do think that Minnesota is not going to go out. They don't seem like to be the team that will just lay down and just take it. They're definitely going to fight into the end. But I just think they're overmatched, and the Liberty they should be winning and already be up 2-0 and be ready to close it out soon. I'm sure, like you said, they're probably kicking themselves knowing that they, let that game get away from them. But unless something miraculous happens, and not saying that it can't, because we obviously saw it in Game 1, and then you always have to give Fees a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But without that, I see the Liberty, finishing the thing that they've been working off so hard for this entire season, because coming into the season, this is what they wanted. They wanted to make sure they got to the finals so that they win. And right now it's looking like they're actually going to complete their goal.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, hey man, just so think about that front court, right? Is there technically in that starting lineup, in Liberty starting lineup, there's not like a true defined actual big by nature. Right.
I mean, Jonquil's a big, so I get what you're saying, but
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just she's, they versatile. They're bigs, but they're just versatile. You know what I mean? It's not like they like Fees technically is a guard, but she just plays down low. That's more along the lines of what you're saying. But Don, they're bigs because Stewie, I gotta see her history. I don't know if she was like a guard that hit a growth spurt in high school or something, so to speak. But ever since I kind of saw her at UConn when she stepped on the UConn campus, yeah, she's a forward. Fee bitch overseas forward, but you know how they develop players overseas. You're gonna have all the skills, so it's a different ball game. You know what I mean? They're not tripping off your height, so I can't say someone was traditionally like, all right, you just in the paint.
Well, I guess their versatility, with their skill sets for their height, is what just makes it ridiculous.
Right.
At times, it feels like there's 5 guards out there, but at the same time, like you said, depending on what's going on, it's 3 bigs depending on who's guarding you. I'm sure Courtney Williams feels like there's a 3rd big out there. So does Caleb McBride at times, because like you talked about their size and then their versatility and their ability to cover ground. The bigs on New York move different than the bigs on Connecticut to a degree. Than other teams' bigs might move. It's insane. And you guys talked about that shot Phoebe shit. That was cold-blooded as hell to pull up right there in that moment.
I know what that really was.
Yeah.
Pass me the fucking ball.
Yeah.
I need more shots, and that's. I know what time. I feel you. I've been there, though. Like I'm fuck the situation. It's going up. I don't want to hear shit. Pass me the fucking ball. Got me out here, out this motherfucker, thinking I'm fucking Marcus Smart just defending Mutombo and shit, man. Y'all better give me some buckets. Like, fuck out of here, man. Hey, I'm the difference, like she is. And,
no, bro, that's legitimately the difference.
On top of that, I just look. They won the fast break down of game 1. Yeah. Same thing, 1970, and they don't even really run like that. Like that's something they need to look at, because I'm like, all of them gonna get the board and push. It's not one player on that star lineup that you get the ball. All right, hold on, give me the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, they all go. Push the rocks and you just fill the lanes. That if they start doing that, it's game over. Man.
That's hell.
How they gonna do?
That's hell. That's hell. You're 3, 4, 5 grabbing the rebound and pushing everybody just running the floor. It's hell. But yeah, the job they've done defensively has been tremendous, and we'll see what it looks like in game 3. The rest of the way, game 3 and game 4. And we'll check in back with you guys next week and let you guys know how the WNBA Finals went. By that time, things should be over no matter how it, how many games it ends up going. On to a Wizards update, right? They played a game last night. It was, in fact, preseason. We talked about it a little bit last night, but for the folks here, right, Wizards.
Yeah, they did indeed show up to a game last night. Played is a term very loosely used, but yeah, it was a shit show. But a lot of the main guys were out. They probably just seeing what they had with some of the other players. But yeah, they got 40 piece. It's by the Nets. The second half was just horrendous, especially from a defensive standpoint. But yeah, it's they got a youth movement in Washington. I do like what I'm seeing from the rookies overall. Bub, Keontae George, and Alex R. The one thing that I'm looking at the most is their willingness to play defense. That's our main topic of discussion every time this part of the year rolls around for the Wizards. They're going to have to defend, and these young guys are going to have to produce for them to have any level of success. So it is refreshing to see them kind of get their legs under them and progress a little bit each game. we talked about Bub's development throughout the preseason. Their first game against Toronto, he got overwhelmed and frustrated with their defensive pressure and their size. When they came back and played Toronto at home, he looked much better. So, so that's a positive sign, especially given Malcolm Brogdon is going to be out to start the season, so he's for sure going to see some extended minutes. But yeah, man, some of the same things that have been plaguing them a little bit this preseason. The interior defense wasn't up to par for the most part. Still turning the ball over, and like we said for the Mystics this year, the nature of the turnovers, loud ball turnovers leading directly into fast breaks. It hurts and it adds up, and that's exactly how the game got out of control against the Nets last night. Yeah, just some things they need to clean up. We talked a lot about Kispert this preseason. He's been getting better every year since he's been in the league. He coming to this season looks to be in better shape. He's still expounded on the areas of his game he's improved at, putting the ball on the floor a little bit more. Of course, the 3-point shot is his staple, and he's getting better defensively. So yeah, man, just looking forward to his development as well. But plain and simple, Kuz and Jordan Poole are going to have to play well. They cannot start the season like they did last year. They were effectively the worst duo in the NBA. But towards the end of the season, especially Jordan Poole, he's starting to round in shape. If he can carry that over into this year, then who knows, man. But yeah, first things first, they're gonna have to defend. Getting Valanciunas, that helps a lot as well. I'll go and give them a bruiser inside, another vet. So yeah, man, just looking forward to how they continue to develop, and hopefully, the positive energy that they had in training camp and media day kind of go into the season. We already know what type of time Brian Keefe on. We talked about it. I think it was the Toronto game. They came out from halftime. Things look a little raggedy. About 2 plays in, called a timeout, and regathered the troops. So yeah, man, that level of accountability is definitely going to help. But yeah, just looking forward to seeing how they progress through the year.
Right, and they can get a chance to wrap up preseason this Friday, and then a week from then it's go time, is opening night, opening weekend of the NBA regular season. The following week, which means October is almost over. We're moving through this year. That said, we're gonna move on to take it or leave it. Where you want to start, Cardell?
The NFL's man, apologies, Ray. Just jumped out there. Got to talk about it. Jerry Jones went off on a radio host during his weekly interview. Host started asking questions. Was it Sean and RJ on Audacy's 105.3 The Fan? Okay, there you go. Quote, they obviously asked about his decision making and the moves he didn't make and should have made during the offseason, and the status of Mike McCarthy, and are they gonna make trades, blah blah blah. And he lost his cool. He went off. He said, "This is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job. I'll get somebody else to ask these questions. I'm not kidding. You're not going to figure it out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are on any 5 or 10 like you need to come to this NFL meeting I'm going to today with 32 teams here. You're geniuses. You really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all the things that I've done wrong without going over the rights?" Yeah, I'll tell you what, just take it or leave it. Him going off on a radio host for, asking, I don't know, actual questions a journalist should ask regarding the state of the Cowboys.
I mean, there's so much wrong with this because, number one, nobody asked you to do interviews every week. Let's start there, sir. Like, you don't have to do an interview every week. You do it. So, of course, they're going to ask you this stuff. So, I don't know why. And I guess if he wants somebody else to ask him questions, why don't he go get Michael Parsons so Michael Parsons can stop asking Darius Slay all these questions every week on his podcast? Maybe he can ask him the questions then. Let's start with that. But it's literally just the old man that's angry about just the world at this point because of the stuff he's done. And he just doesn't want to own up to it. And it is what it is. But my thing is, if you don't want to answer these questions, stop doing interviews. Like, you don't have to do an interview every week, Jerry. Like, I think before the game even came on, I was like, look at him on Fox getting interviewed before the game came on. Like what? Like, we do not talk to anybody else's owner this much, if at all. And even anybody's GM, if at all. It's only him. So I'm like, what do you expect them to do? Ask you the questions that you don't want to answer, obviously. Like, I don't understand it. It's just asinine at this point. But the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again as they have been doing. So I'm not that surprised.
Ray, just be a free agent fan. But before you do, what's wrong with your team,
man? Jerry out of his room again, and he ain't take his meds. I call the orderlies. Like,
out again.
I don't understand. Yeah, man, like this is ridiculous. I don't know how long this has to go on, but yeah, y'all know my feelings. As long as he's in charge, this is going to be a 3-ring circus. He just keeps slipping further and further into what appears to be senility. So we're just gonna watch this play out until it ain't playing out no more. I don't know what else to say.
That man said he out is wrong, dog. Wilson.
Hey, call the orderlies is wild. Yeah, bro, you could have just sent Steven to go do this. Why show up? Just don't go. You literally could just not go. You could have issued a statement. If it's something you own, you talk about getting fired. You could have just told them they're not broadcasting today. But why go in here and get mad? And spiraling's not a great look, sir. That's horrible, man. Like, it's already not the greatest of narratives going on, or around you, anyways, over the past 30 years. This doesn't help, sir. This doesn't help at all. You shouldn't have been around a microphone at all. Like, and this is coming off like this is the day after. What's it called? Mike McCarthy was late to the press conference or something by like an hour. They were going to have questions for you, man. They was going to have questions for you.
Yeah, man, I'm just going to move on, man. This is funny, though. I'm just tired of people trying to pick on media people across all sports for doing their job. Like, honestly, with the state of the Cowboys, what other questions are there to ask? There's not even nothing nice I can ask you, bro. Hey, man, beautiful day. You still here. You know what I'm saying? God must have a plan. Like, what about the Cowboys can you ask a positive question about at this point in time? So how you get mad at that? Sometimes, at some point, you just got to man up and keep it a buck, man. Just like, yeah, we trash right now. I can't even hold you, dog. Like, you got to figure some things out. Like, for real. Like, what you want to? Oh man, this is the Twilight Zone. We say it all the time. We're gonna move on. Obviously, it's a couple big trades. We're gonna touch on that. Obviously, determined to save their season from ruin. The Jets finalized a trade for star wide receiver Devontae Adams earlier today. The Las Vegas Raiders received a 2025 conditional third-round draft pick in the trade. That pick could improve to a second-round selection. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter if Adams is a first or second team All-Pro this season, or is on the Jets' active roster for the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl. The trade reunites Adams and quarterback Aaron Rodgers to recreate one of the most dangerous duos in recent NFL history. Quote, "We're back, man," Adams said while briefly joining Rodgers at the Jets facility in Florham Park, New Jersey for the quarterback's weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show. "We're back." Quote, "Obviously, I'm really excited," Rodgers said, adding, "It's on us now. We're going all in." Ray, take it or leave it. This trade for Adams changes the Jets season around.
I'm gonna leave it because I believe in karma. Um, yeah, the way this whole thing is transpired, like you fire your coach, then upgrade the roster. Um, yeah, and then Aaron Rodgers is just I don't have many nice things to say about him, so I'm I'm openly wishing failure upon him. But yeah, they got a lot of problems in New York. Um, of course, adding a talent like that is going to help some, but I don't think this makes them a contender or even a really good team. I believe they continue to struggle.
Wilson.
You could have done all of this nonsense in the off season. All of this nonsense could have been done in the off season. Also, after going to get Aaron's favorite receivers, his old receivers, so what was the point of keeping Garrett Wilson? You could have flipped him to Oakland for, you might have got it too, or some good stuff out of it. So if you're Garrett Wilson, how do you feel? They went and got Alan Lazard, we only know who Alan Lazard is because he played that one time with Aaron in Green Bay. Right. I'd have to hate everything if I'm Garrett Wilson. All my friends getting a chance. I don't know, outside of Chris Olave, he's going through it too, playing with a bad quarterback. But it's just tough. Like, everything's been bad since they left Ohio State. But like Ray said, y'all fired Robert Saleh, upgraded the roster because he wanted to fire the play caller, and all Jeff Ulbrich did was, your play caller's still in the building, but he doesn't have his duties. I think there was a stat that went like the Jets' offense was so stagnant. Everyone does motion these days in this day and age in NFL. They were against it because Aaron doesn't like it that much. They got rid of Saleh's offensive coordinator. Ulbrich names a different offensive coordinator. I think they were 7th in the league in pre-snap motion this week. Why the hell did y'all fire Saleh? Also, Saleh's former play caller came from the system where they do that stuff anyways. What are we doing? None of this stuff masks the actual issues. Your defense is probably a year past where it was because you wasted last year when dude got hurt. You could have had Adams this whole offseason. You did whatever you chose to do because you're the Jets, and now you're here. Also, I hate to break it to you, man. This ain't the NFC. I don't care what you do. You're not knocking off Baltimore or Kansas City. What are we doing, Jets? Y'all, who they lose? Y'all lost to Josh Allen, and I don't even know who he's throwing to. Y'all couldn't beat the Bills. Keep it a buck. Like, in the hierarchy of things in the AFC, not to knock Josh Allen, like Sean McDermott taking on, he's a Nick Sirianni in the AFC. He got a job, and we all still don't know why. Like, we're all waiting for the other shoe to fall, but you lost to him. They don't even run the ball in Buffalo when you lost. It was a one-dimensional team you lost to. Just unserious.
Don't forget about the Texans either.
Bro, D'Amico been beating Aaron since he got hired in San Francisco. I don't think he's lost to Aaron. So that's another team. What are we doing here? And Lord knows when Devontae's around, you don't see nobody but Devontae, which has been an issue when he was in NFC. You'd be like, no, Devontae. No, Devontae. I would run this play, but Devontae's over there. What are we doing? And y'all are all old.
That's the point.
What are we doing? You can't get away from the rush. Like, if this was 2015, that Jets roster would be fired. Tyron Smith is old. Morgan Moses is old. Aaron Rodgers is old. Devontae Adams, he might not be where y'all at, but he's in the neighborhood. What are we doing here? Also, like Ray said, Carmen, just shout out to Woody Johnson, man.
Octavia.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaving it. I think it's also kind of weird how literally like the news broke like today, and then like 9 minutes later he was at the facility in New Jersey. Like, all right, bro. So you've been there. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm leaving it. I don't think it's gonna be enough. I just don't think they're a competent organization that's going to be able to do anything with them. And then kind of like you said, like now that Devontae's there, Devontae is the only person that he sees. So goodbye. I think he's already on his way out anyway with Mike Williams, because I mean he's the scapegoat from last night as well. So bye to him. And then I really hate this because it is going to, in my opinion, it's going to stunt Garrett Wilson's growth that much more. I think they think that this is going to help him develop. I don't see it that way. If I was Garrett Wilson as well, I'd be trying to find my way up out of there as well. Especially because it's not going to last long. So it's like you're really just sitting here like, all right, so they're going to try to do all of this all this year, and then next year I'm going to get what? I'm going to have to be the guy again, and I'm going to have to come in and try to save everything, and Devontae is going to be older, and Aaron might be out the league and done and retired by then, like, and I'm going to be standing here left holding the bag. Like, all right, bro, that was your team, and you can be like, yeah, great. So, I mean, I don't like it. I honestly don't think it's going to be enough, you know, to be fair. And also, like you guys said, karma. Like I just don't think the Jets are ever going to be good. Like I just don't think it's supposed to happen. But I don't think this makes them that marginally much better. Like to be fair, there were 2 wide receivers traded today. I like the other one better than I like this one.
Plus, Devontae only cares about Devontae. So
yeah, he ain't trying to teach Garrett Wilson nothing.
I don't even know if he care about winning. As long as he getting his numbers and money, he cool.
And back with his best friend.
The Receivers series on Netflix showed us that. But yeah, the other trade. Buffalo Bills acquired Amari Cooper in the trade Tuesday with the Cleveland Browns, adding a true number 1 wide receiver for star quarterback Josh Allen. The Bills received Cooper and a 2025 6th-round draft pick for a 2025 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round selection in 2026. Cooper 30 fills the number 1 receiver void for the Bills that was open when Buffalo traded Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans before the season. The Bills completed the deal hours after the AFC East rivals, the Jets, made their own blockbuster trade for wide receiver Devontae Adams. In recent weeks, the Browns have fielded multiple offers on Cooper, who's in the final season of a 5-year deal he originally signed as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. The fact that Cleveland converted the majority of Cooper's $20 million base salary into a signing bonus made him more attractive as a trade candidate. After recording a career-high 1,250 receiving yards in 2023, Cooper has struggled along with a Browns offense that has failed to score 20 points in each of his first 6 games. Cooper leads Cleveland with 250 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, but his 4.7 yards per target ranks 2nd worst in the NFL among qualifying pass catchers. His 3 drops are also tied for 6th most in the league. Quote, "Move or Russ," Cooper posted on his Instagram story. Wilson, we start with you. Take it or leave it.
I'm taking this big time. Finally, Amari Cooper is free and allowed to play NFL football again. My God, he's been through hell. He went to Cleveland to watch Deshaun do whatever the hell he calls himself doing. It's not offense. It doesn't work. You were in Dallas, and they literally told you, I know you're better than Young Boy, but Young Boy has to be the new guy. So I need you to move out his way. Shout to Jerry, because, again, why we're keeping a really competent number 1 for your young rookie help you. And Dallas hasn't been the same offensively since, no matter how much you force feed CeeDee Lamb. It's almost like you need more than one threat in the passing game. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of those things where Amari's going to give you a lot of the stuff that Diggs gives you, except without some of the stuff that Diggs gives you. You know what, I'm just going to leave that. Where is that? Amari is one of those old school consummate pro type dudes. And again, not saying Diggs isn't, just saying he's already been through, like, he's seen stuff Diggs hasn't had to see. You're not going to hear a peep out of Amari in Buffalo. Like, just sit there quietly through what Dallas did to you and line up every week knowing Deshaun can't hit you even if you're wide open. And we haven't heard not one bad thing. It's a hell of a pro. But now it's huge for Buffalo. And I think he's the type of guy that might actually help mentor a young fella, Keon Coleman over there. It's going to give them a reliable threat and kind of add some stability to Buffalo's offense, because we know they sorely need it, since they just Buffalo's just like, look, we're not running the ball. So please go get you an adult wide receiver. We just accepted they don't want to run the ball unless Josh running it. I think Coop is going to have a really he should really be ready to go. Mind you, during that time, like he's been in the league 1 year shorter than Devontae. He's within what is it? He's like 1,000 yards shy of Devontae. And we know Devontae's target's been crazy playing with Aaron at that time. And we know what he's been going through with who he's not been playing with. But yeah, I just think it's great for Buffalo.
Octavia.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this one. Like I said, I like this wide receiver trade way better than the other one we just talked about. For all of the reasons Wilson just named as well. I mean, Amari has been going through it. I don't think he just forgot how to play football. Last year when Deshaun Watson was out and they had Joe Flacco throwing the ball, he was doing some pretty good things last year. So I don't think he forgot how to play football within the span of a year. I just think Deshaun Watson is washed at this point. He just was out of the league too long, and it's not turning into what they want it to be. I'm sure Amari should be ecstatic to get out to Josh Allen, and I know Josh Allen probably has to be excited as well to get another number one wide receiver. And then just like you said, he's a quiet type. Like he's going to come in there, do his job, do his business, and I do think that he'll mentor the Keon Coleman's, the Khalil Shakirs, and everything to come up after him, and then just adding him to their kind of receiving core that they have. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox a little bit, and especially because they didn't have Khalil Shakir, who just came back off of an injury, and Keon Coleman, the rookie, wasn't really hitting too much, and so he played pretty decent in the game yesterday. But yeah, I think this is a major upgrade for them, especially in the AFC. As you know, the AFC East and North and all of that stuff, it gets a little bit wild over there. So you're definitely going to need somebody like him. I think he's going to fit right and perfectly for them. So I think it was a good trade for them. I'm hoping that the Browns are just trying to trade everybody, and we can take a Myles Garrett here and there or something. If they're having a fire sale at this point, but we'll see.
Right. You taking it or leaving it?
Yeah, definitely taking it. I know Amari's happy to get up out of there. And I know the Bills are happy to have him. They really don't need to go much further than that. And yeah, as far as what's going on in Cleveland, karma. Like for signing a deviant to the richest contract in history. He deserves everything he's getting right now. Like, what was that about?
No arguments here. It is what it is. All right, a couple rapid fire questions. We're gonna get out of here. Unfortunately, no shock, but 76ers forward Paul George has a bone bruise in his left knee, but did not suffer any structural damage and will be reevaluated in 1 week, the team announced Tuesday. 9-time All-Star George was injured when his knee buckled on a defensive play in the second quarter of Monday's game against the Atlanta Hawks. He was ruled out of the game with a hyperextended knee. Quote, everything checks out okay. Coach Nick Nurse told reporters Tuesday at Team's New Jersey complex. George attended Tuesday's practice. Even before the injury, George was not scheduled to play in Wednesday's preseason game against Brooklyn. Quote, I felt it hyperextended and immediately it was all right. I need to get taken out and looked at, but if you ask me, I'm not too concerned about it. George told the Philadelphia Inquirer after Monday's game. The Sixers have been cautious with their star players and shut down center Joel Embiid on Sunday for the rest of preseason for what they call left knee management. The Sixers, who signed George to a 4-year, $212 million contract as a free agent this summer, are his 14 after 7 years with Indiana to Oklahoma City, and the past 5 as a member of the Los Angeles Clippers. He's a 6-time All-NBA selection, has averaged 20.8 points over 14 NBA seasons. What are your thoughts on Mr. George? Ray, we're gonna start with you, Ray. What are your thoughts on Mr. George already hurt?
Boy, being held together by popsicle sticks and bubblegum, man. Like, might be a rough season in Philly, man, because hopefully he's able to remain healthy, but given his recent history, that's a little iffy. And then you got Joel coming out talking about he's never playing back-to-backs again. Buddy, yeah, just they need to gear up for a long season, man. But you know, it definitely sucks. Because Paul George, he's got a ton of potential, man, but he just can't stay on the court. You know, like I said, hopefully he can stay relatively healthy for the remainder of his career. But man, like I don't know what's going on. I don't know why there's so many injuries now, especially the star players. Maybe these dudes should start lifting weights again or doing something different. But yeah, this is getting crazy.
Wilson.
I'm happy it wasn't anything more serious. The Sixers nor he could afford that. For many reasons, I'm probably going to just leave it at that. And for the back-to-back things with Embiid and whatnot with the Sixers, Tyrone Maxey, I'm praying for you and the others to get through all those back-to-backs. It's a long season, especially you young fella. It's going to be a very long year for you, man, because I don't know how often your two elder statesmen will be joining you this season on a regular basis.
Octavia.
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is they're gonna need to have some extra knees on standby because the knees out there in Philadelphia ain't really all held together too much between him and Joel Embiid, like you said, not doing back-to-backs anymore. I mean, when I saw the play, all I could do was shake my head. It was like, I mean, dang, he just got here. It's preseason, and he already falling apart. Like, of course, as y'all know, I'm an Eagles fan, and I'm not really too much of anything else Philly like related fan outside of if I had to pick like baseball, like I kind of like the Phillies or whatever. But being an Eagles fan, like they're all like fans of everything, so it was like it was permeating like everywhere when this happened, and the way the Eagles season is going. The Phillies just got knocked out of the the MLB. Like they a little on edge, bro. So it's like, all right, bro. Like I literally saw a video. It was like a little girl. She was probably like 4, and she was just crying because she was like, "The Phillies lost. They're never gonna win." I was like, "Oh my god!" They got the 4-year-old girl crying about Philly sports. It was just bad. So they're a little on edge, and you got this happening. Joel coming out talking about not doing back-to-backs. They're gonna have to get it together. So I hope his knee is okay for the sake of the Philadelphia fan base and those who root for them. If not, and all I could also see is Clippers fans were everywhere, just like I told you so. Like that's all I kept seeing everywhere too. It's like it's starting early, guys. So it's like, but I do hope he's okay. You know, we know he went through a very gruesome injury back in the day. So I'm hoping he's okay, of course. But it makes you a little bit nervous if you're a Sixers fan. And then I feel like he's trying to downplay it. So I feel like that's also what makes it a little bit more nerve-wracking. He's like, oh, it's fine. And everybody's like, is it though? Y'all like to say it's fine and it's not really fine. So, but prayers to them and the fan base as well.
Well, first things, this is why the Clippers didn't pay him.
Yep.
You can go, please. You can go. He shouldn't rock that number 8 in tribute to Mr. Bean. That's disrespectful. Because Bean will play every game. He has to really be jacked up not to play. But also, you can't take this team serious with their two of their main players. I'm not gonna say their 2 top players, because obviously Maxey is 1B, but their 2 top players not being available all the time during the season. You can't just flip the switch like that. Now when you got them Knicks over there, and Tibbs, they gonna play. Boston's trying to defend edge on their own one because they pissed about the Olympic stuff. And then you got other hungry teams that's just trying to figure it out, come after you. You see what I'm saying? You can't cruise into the playoffs and then, all right, let's play for real. It hasn't worked and it's not going to work. Dudes are too good. They're not going for that. You see what I'm saying? And we all know the rule in the league behind the scenes, man. If you taking the night off on me and all that, that means we sweet. That means you think the rest of the team can just bust our ass. So the next time I do catch you on the court, you getting all of it. You getting everything I got. You see what I'm saying? And some more. So it's just like you can't take it serious, though. You just can't take this. You can't take it serious, man. I'm just so against shortcuts and BS, man. It's just like how you like, bro. Think about if they do find a way to win a championship like this, what it would do. Like, it would cause chaos throughout it. Like, every team like, hey, we players like, hey, Philly won that joint, so I don't need no more back-to-backs. None of that, man. We just need to eliminate all of that. And next thing you know, we're going to be playing touch basketball. But dudes going to be making like $400 million. So, yeah, bro. They're going to have to show me, partner. I'm just going to sit back and just see what they do, man. But, yeah, this is crazy. Last question we're going to get up out of here, man. Denver Nuggets coach Mike Malone challenged most of his starters Sunday night by playing them for the entire third quarter of the 118-114 preseason loss to the Phoenix Suns at Ball Arena. Malone did so intentionally to test his roster's current physique. Wilson, if you got that pulled up, go ahead.
Like tonight, I ran those guys the whole third quarter, and obviously Jamal didn't play in the second half, but played that starting unit the whole third quarter to try to push their envelope a little bit. And that was probably a little bit hard on some of those guys. And then in practice, I think we can get up and down more. I think so often as coaches in modern day NBA, the league has gotten so soft. Everybody's afraid to condition and run. We have to. Like tonight, I ran those guys the whole.
Wilson, what are your thoughts on Mike Malone's thoughts on his team, what they need, and the league overall conditioning?
A round of applause for Coach Malone, truly. And this is the crazy thing, right? We look at Philly, right, on doing whatever, the way that they're going about it. Again, I'm trying to be good today. The way that Philly's choosing to go about it, their philosophical differences with their top players. You got Coach Malone over here like, y'all running. We know what that old silver hair man down to Miami believes. I wish you would. Man, and quiet as kept, laughing about whatever the hell Phoenix had going on. They folks been out there. I think some of them didn't play their last game, but them folks been out there too. There's a lot of teams out west where people been playing in preseason. Like, quietly, and those are the people. I got my little invisible list. I'm checking the box like, oh, like I look at Phoenix. I was like, oh, y'all serious this year? Huh, interesting. We're playing in preseason games. Huh. We're trying to do the little things. Because Cardell, what you talk about shortcuts, right? Watching people who are trying to do it the old way. You got Coach Malone. This is a team that won the championship recently. Calling the league soft because it is. I love everything he had to say. And I love that he did that to his players because y'all gonna need it. You're gonna need it. The West about to be a bloodbath. Just even more of a bloodbath that it just was. Because you got some of the older teams like, hey, we got to get back to the youngsters. The young teams like, we don't want you old people to come back at all. Stay dead. We want to bury you guys. Talking about Philly again, I'm gonna stay on their head over there in the East with their people not, choosing to miss time or whatever. You can't afford this stuff, man. It's going to catch up. All good things come to an end. This shortcut crap is wonderful. Some of y'all believe in it, and that's wonderful. No, man. Just no. You can't. Look at Boston. There was not a shortcut taken. That's shortcut taken. They got it the old-fashioned way. They're there despite all the nonsense and all the noise. They right there ready to try to run this back. And you got people saying, I ain't going to play no back-to-backs. All right, man. Yeah. Not going back-to-back into the next round either, sir. Just one and done. It's cool. But I love what Coach Malone said. And again, I just been keeping track preseason mentally, trying to watch as much as I can. Just seeing who I think really took this offseason serious and has kind of that old school approach heading into the season because I think those are the teams going to start right and be ready to go on a run and see how they get through the year. Because, again, the times are different, man. Like, you had people back in the day without not any of this technology. And people played 82. Y'all got everything in your back pocket. You got watches that let you know how your health is. People was working, professional athletes dealing with civil unrest. Y'all out here talking about I can't play back to back. So yeah, go ahead, Coach Malone, preach.
That's part of the problem. They have everything. Somebody, Justin Terminus, tweeted out about Embiid. He's like, Will Chamberlain was the same size, and he was playing in Chucks. Played all 82 games, was playing like 45 minutes. You feel what I'm saying? And bad travel. Still showed up every game, though, and was doing this in his elder age. So, but we ain't going to get into that, man. Octavia, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, definitely applause. And I mean, I don't understand why you don't think that y'all have to play to get ready for the season. Like, and as y'all were talking, I was thinking about it because I wanted to watch the Boston game this past weekend. I wanted to see they played against the Sixers.
Right.
They beat them 139-89 in preseason. Nobody for the Sixers played. That's why I didn't even watch the whole game, because I was like, well, they have nobody playing. But Tatum played, Holiday played, White played, Brown played, Tillman played. The only people who didn't play was really Horford and Porzingis, obviously, because Horford's old and Porzingis is still coming off of a injury. So, I mean, things like that. But, I mean, you got Kelly Oubre didn't play, Eric Gordon didn't play, Tyrone Maxey didn't play, Reggie Jackson didn't play, Laurie, Andre Drummond,
the best rebound cover.
Really? Like, they had my man that was playing for that just got signed. What is it? I can't say his name. The dude that was playing in the Olympics.
Boussalet.
Yeah, him. They had him playing 20 minutes. Jared McCain played 32 minutes. So I'm like, when you compare it to it's like that, so it's like when it comes back down to when we looking at, who's there at the end of the season, this is the type of stuff that you're gonna be looking at. Like, oh, remember back then when none of y'all was really getting no bump, and y'all got starters on the team that's defending NBA world champions playing preseason like it's a regular game. It shows what it shows, to be fair. And I mean, I applaud Mike Malone for saying like, hey, bro, like y'all got to get out here and get it. Obviously, because of how gassed they were in the playoffs last year. And we talk about how they don't really get a lot of practice time throughout the season as well. So if you don't get that much practice time throughout the season, this is the time you should be doing all of that type of stuff. So what are we doing? So, but bad teams do bad things. Then keep doing the same thing over and over again and look for the same result. And the same result is going to be an L, which is Ben. So we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, it's just become a pampered spoiled league. I'm glad he did that. Like you said, man, it's no shortcuts. You got to put the work in. It's a shame that this is an anomaly to have guys work hard. I just don't understand. But hopefully, like Octavia just pointed out, their conditioning, it was an issue last year. They were spent by the time they played Minnesota. So yeah, and I'm sure he was well aware of that. So he's probably going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And yeah, man, we need to get back to a point where people are actually expected to earn their money. Like, these guys are making more than ever before and being part-time players. Like, to be perfectly honest, brought up the no practicing thing, which is wild as hell to me. Like, that's probably why you're getting injured a lot, because in between games you're not activating your body, and then you just try to flip it on at the highest stakes possible. Human bodies don't work that way, man. But yeah, he summed it up perfectly. League's definitely gotten soft, and hopefully, something happens as the way they can reverse the clock. But yeah, man, it's getting out of hand. Like, damn, hate to keep going back to this Embiid thing, but he's crying so much about the respect that he doesn't get and then says the thing that he said. Like, nobody's ever going to take you serious. That's why you haven't even been to a conference finals yet. Just that could be a whole nother show. But yeah, man, kudos to Mike Malone.
Yeah, I'm gonna just end it with this. Like, it's a struggle for guys to get in tip-top shape going into the season, and they got $300 million contracts out there. I just Twilight Zone. I keep saying that because it makes no sense. And Ray Wilson, y'all know this, man. We make the Kennedy team practice, and part of that practice is I'm gonna put y'all through the gauntlet to see if y'all really to get y'all in shape. But I want to see where y'all at. And if the guys are not working out with me, they kind of know what to expect, so they kind of get through it. The other guys be dead, dog. They be like, oh, they be hurting. And and then next year, me and Coach Hall like, ah, shit. And it's 3-hour practice. And they like, yo, this. Then it finally kicks in, like about an hour, and they're like, oh, this real practice. Like, well, no shit. Which I thought y'all was just we gonna roll the balls out and just go play. Y'all do realize this league costs $2,000, right? Like, we ain't anybody playing around with this shit. Like, we ain't got time for this. We could be doing some other shit. It's the summertime too. You see what I'm saying? So they feel it's unnecessary. Then it snaps them back into it. Then afterwards, they're like, yo, can we work? Can we do some extra work? Yo, you put me through shit I ain't never do before. I'm like, why am I just putting you through shit you never did before, but you a college basketball player and you talking pro talk? Like, you got pro aspirations. You nowhere near that. And then you got other guys on the outside who feel like that's unnecessary until we busting their ass and we ended up in the championship game. You see what I'm saying? It's like you can't take shortcuts. You can't not do that, man. Like, especially against other insanely talented players, you're going to get your ass handed to you, dog. And you're cheating the game. We all know it's basketball guys and all that. It's a real thing. You get what you put in. And we just become accustomed to the NBA, as far as the NBA is concerned, where there's so many shortcuts that's taken, it's ridiculous. They think they're working out by going in the gym, working out for 45 minutes doing step back threes. And no, man, you got to put that real work in. Get out there in that 100-degree heat, work, sprints, run up hills, weight room. That's the stuff to keep your body ready. Because I don't care how skilled you are, how athletic you are, if your body's not in shape, bro, it's going to crash, you're going to get hurt, and we never going to see that. We never going to see your skill and talent. And see, the selfish thing about the NBA, every franchise, it's a lot of moving parts. And it's all reliant on those players getting the job done. If they don't get the job done, people are going to lose jobs, huh? They're going to lose their livelihoods. Like, I feel for strength coaches, and I'm like, y'all handcuffed. It's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Hey, man, we need to hop on a weight room. I know plenty of them. They'll tell a player, yo, I need you to lift today. Yeah, I don't quite feel like lifting today, man. You know, I'm just going to get these shots up. And it's like, if you don't got the organization back you just stuck. Because the players got the power. You go complain or whatever like that, yo, don't work with him no more. And then you see what I'm saying? Then you on your way out. It's just out of a job, man. It's just bad, man. And you know, the comments where Ant-Man was talking about, we ain't got a lead like Jordan and Kobe getting on players. This is exactly why Jordan and Kobe had a lead like this. This is exactly why. We've all played sports. We all know dudes will take shortcuts, running suicides. Coaches, if you don't touch the line, we run it again. It's going to be 3 months that don't touch the line, you run it again. Now I got to threaten this fool like Slim. If you don't touch the line again, I'm going to fuck you up. It's just simple as that. Other than that, we're going to beat your ass. Now he want to touch the line. Why didn't you just do that the first time? Why you got to be hard-headed? You see what I'm saying? It's not that hard, bro. It's always going to be somebody who's crossed the line, who habitual line stuff. It's always going to be those types. That's why you need to have some tough love leadership on your team. Like, nah, bro. And I like Philly. We talking about Philly and all that. The Denver Nuggets and stuff like that. If you notice, a lot of heat coming Jamal Murray way. We ain't even in regular season. He's been looking horrible. Olympics, the end of the playoffs, the Olympics to the preseason. And then he just got the new deal. If he's not Jamal Murray, they're not going anywhere. Nikola Jokic got to be Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Walton. And he got to be for him to make up for that. That's why Mike Malone was like, yo, it's a sense of urgency, bro. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think these players understand. You only got a small window to capitalize on when you have talent enough to get the job done. Otherwise, it's over. So it's tough it's tough, man, dealing with the league, because it's just like, at the same time, y'all want to criticize the old school for how they did things, but then y'all, at the same time, y'all just making their point. It's on you, Wilson.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it, is complain and trash people before you that had less than you, but also got better results than you, which in turn makes their point the entire time, because you all on a regular basis make their points for them. Like, I wouldn't dare mention people's name and their leadership style if I have not led anyone to a chip yet. I would worry about what I have going on and try to get my team there before I dare compare and contrast leadership styles if I have not won said thing that they have won multiple times. You know, just want to throw that out there. Again, everyone wants this like this like participation trophy type style thing of winning. Bro, watch a Disney movie, man. It's not it. It's not it. I'm sorry. Like, some of y'all's favorite people, some of them are just good at playing you. They're all villains. You gotta be a villain sometimes to get done what you need to get done. It is what it is. All right. Tom get on there, a lot of y'all every week, and y'all just eat it up. Ain't nobody have. Just go listen to Julian Edelman and Grunt talk about Tom. Julian got stories for days. People just don't like listening to Julian. But them stories are hilarious. They don't play that. Because those guys, the greats, right, they are incensed about someone taking a shortcut. Offended deeply.
Didn't Brady just get on Baker Mayfield for getting at him? Talking about the
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're gonna talk back, because they're gonna look at their resume. They're gonna look at who's talking. And some of them got time. Everyone's not a PC happy person. Some of them got time. Which is why Brady calling games is hilarious. If I were y'all, if I was in the league, leave that man alone. Don't talk about him. Because he definitely don't care. Right? He doesn't at all. We want to thank y'all for tuning in this week, man. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget, get over to our Roku channel. If you got a Roku television device, all you got to do is type in the Focus TV in the search box, double tap OK. We will see you guys a couple more times this week. We got Wizards Outlook later this week. And then, obviously, you know, man, college basketball is about to be right here. That segment's about to be added right back into the middle of the show. So, again, we look forward to seeing you guys also